The English Channel is an iconic swim. It is one of the hardest open water challenges that you can take on, and a Mount Kelly student at just the age of 17 years old has gone sub 10 hours for the crossing. On this week's podcast, we speak to Barnaby Ryder all about the challenges of training for a channel swim while balancing school and studies, the reason he's chosen to raise over £10,000 for a mental health charity, and the battle to the French shoreline that hit after 8 hours of swimming. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Propulsion Swimming Podcast. Yes, on recent episodes we've been concentrating a lot in the pool and preparation for the World Championships that are just around the corner. But on this week's episode, we'll touch in open water swimming. We're going English Channel, of which the window to do the swims has just opened. And we're talking to a 17-year-old who has gone an astonishing time, all in the aid of raising a monumental amount of money for a very good charity indeed.
Yes, and that swimmer's name is Barnaby Ryder. It's brilliant to get him on the podcast this week. He swam the channel literally a couple of weeks ago, raising money for ManUp, a great cause for men's mental health. We'll talk all about that charity and, of course, the swim itself, which I forgot to mention, he actually did solo as well.
Yeah, solo sub 10 hours, which we'll get into, is a very, very good time indeed. Now, This week's episode of the Propulsion Swimming Podcast is brought in partnership with One Flow Aquatics out in Sommer Bay, the newest destination for your warm weather training camps on the Red Sea in Egypt. And if you're interested in booking with Sports Abroad, you can follow the link in the show notes of this podcast. Now, Dan, I think it's fair that we give Barnaby a bit of an introduction ahead of this swim, because we've had channel swimmers on here before. We've got friends who've done the crossing as relays, but to do a solo swim at just the age of 17 takes an enormous amount of courage, takes an enormous amount of training, and he's been supported very admirably by the team at Mount Kelly, who we've obviously spoken to on this podcast before. They're a very well-renowned sports school here in the UK, and I'm just fascinated to get into, like, what does it actually take to do a channel swim at such a young age while doing school, while doing studies?
Yeah, I mean, he explains it really, really well, so make sure you're listening for the next half hour or so, because the training he's had to go through, the actual swim itself, the fueling,
mental battles. Yeah,
mental battles I was going to get to when he sees the French shoreline, and he then, like I described it as like hitting the wall, like in the marathon. It's a very similar type thing. You have to give the crew a lot of credit, because they had their work cut out when he hit the wall when he was swimming and he saw the French coastline. Yeah, good work done by all.
Okay, so let's jump into this week's episode of the Propulsion Swimming Podcast. So Barnaby, first of all, congratulations on your solo channel swim, an incredible achievement. And I kind of want to start right at the beginning. So you've done you've done the Dubai Island swim, like challenge.
Yeah.
But what made you think English Channel? Like, because Dubai and English Channel, they're quite different environments. So where did this challenge first come into mind?
Well, firstly, thank you so much. Basically, it was originally, the channel was before the Dubai swim. So I decided I wanted to do the channel when I was 12 years old. So I was asking my parents to do it from a really young age. Only can do it when you're 16, but booked it when I was 15. So the Dubai swim was purely a training swim. Obviously, as you said, completely different environment, being much, much warmer, not as far, but it was an incredible training swim for me today.
12 years old is quite young to want to just swim the channel. Where's that mindset come from?
Yeah, it was young. It was very it's quite strange when I think about it, because it was more of like, literally I probably saw someone online and I was like, right, that's quite cool. And I started getting to open water with my dad and I was like, oh, I quite like this. And then realized I'm good at pool swimming, but I'm much better at just going for a very long time. So then I found out about the English Channel and I was like, this is really cool. And I get really obsessed over things. So when I decide I want to do something, that's what I now want to do. So I kind of went, no, I'm going to swim the channel now. Like, that's what I want to do with my life. I was like, what's happening. That's going to be it.
Wow. It's been like 5 years in the making then.
Yeah, 5 years. 2 years of preparation, training and stuff. But yeah, it's been crazy.
Now, we'll get into your training, but I kind of want to know how you've managed to balance, because you do have to do ridiculous meterage to get up to a channel level swim. How did you balance academic study at the same time? Because you are 17, you're still in school. You're what, ASs right now?
I'm still, lower sixth, so doing
Lower
BTEC
sixth.
and A level.
So how did you balance all of the training that's required along with the academic study that's required as well at Mount Kelly? Because we've seen what it takes to be a student there.
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's been intense, massively intense. I've been really lucky with how welcoming and accommodating Mount Kelly have been with it. With Neil, fitting me in whenever to train. And then also with academics, being able to do a BTEC. So I do a triple BTEC course, which has allowed me to basically, it's all coursework, there's no exams, which has allowed me to be out of school and still be working, or vice versa, like being able to do stuff outside of school time. And then I also do an A level in business, which is fine. It's just ticking along. And I'm lucky I'm in year 12, so it's not too intense.
Sure.
So how would a normal week go in the lead up to the swim, obviously, with the balance of those studies and the training as well? What would a typical week look like?
Oh, in the peak of it was intense. So it was a normal school day on a Monday, training in the evening. Occasionally we get off after training in the evening for an extra hour in Plymouth. So we drive 30 minutes to Plymouth, 40 minutes, get in for an hour and then back out, warm up, have hot chocolate, of course. And then that was pretty much. So then a Tuesday we'd have morning training. And then in the evening, we do a longer session. So Neil would coach the normal swimmers, and then he'd do like a 2-hour session with me in Plymouth again. Then on Wednesday, we'd have no morning training, school during the day again, full day of school every single day. And then in the evening, we just have normal. Wednesday evenings, I used to do 2.5 to 2 hours, depending on what I could do. So 10K set occasionally, which was quite fun. And then Thursday morning training. Yeah. So it's some big swims.
We'll go into that in a minute, I'm sure. The fun side of it, yeah.
Yeah. So Thursday morning, then swim again, and then Thursday evening open water training. Friday afternoon training, Friday morning training, school every day, and then Saturday, Sunday towards the end we'd do like a 4-hour and then a 3-hour, depending on what time we had. So it's a lot of swimming. Yeah.
When you get closer to the swim, do you taper down for it at all?
Yeah, we did. The last 2 weeks, it was basically, especially when we arrived in Dover and not knowing when you're going to swim, it was just an hour every day. Okay. But we probably did 2 hours open water, and then the 2 weeks coming up to it, we then just slowed it down, which was quite nice.
So with the taper, the amount you swim goes down, but does the volume kind of weigh up the same if you're doing it per hour?
It was, because with open water, it's all in time. It's all how long are you in the water for. So for us, it was, right, we're just going to do slightly less this week, so less time each session, really. So instead of doing 2 hours, we'll do an hour. So it was just basically just to feel nice and rested, feel nice and loose. Because with swimming, you feel tight, especially with cold water. It's not fun to be cold all the time. So it's quite nice to just be feeling good.
Yeah. How have you managed kind of the element of training by yourself in the lead up to it? Because we've had many chats on this podcast before that swimming is a team sport. Like the way you interact within training is what makes it a team sport. But it sounds like a lot of your preparation, a lot of your training was by yourself, because you're at a swimming school that is the results are in the pool. Let's be honest, the success is in the pool and not big channel swims. So you are by yourself doing the training a lot of the time?
Yes and no. In the water by myself quite a lot, but Neil was on a paddleboard. So when I say I'm swimming these hours, Neil is on the paddleboard the whole time.
Loving life, I'm sure he is.
Yeah. When it got warm, it was nice, but
sure.
It was, and also he would get in for training as well. So he'd get in with me for the last hour every time, or every half an hour. So it's always nice to think, just a little bit longer, and then I'm gonna have someone else suffer with me to make me feel better about myself, which is nice.
So what's going through your mind in the long training sets?
I honestly don't think there's much that goes through my mind. A lot of it is thinking about the future. So I do a lot of what's going to happen next, which is good and bad. It's one of those things where it's like, you've got to enjoy where you are in the moment. But I'm big on, what am I going to do next? And imagining really cool things that I'm going to do, which is good for me. But, you've got to be careful with just seeing where you are in the moment, enjoying what you've done. But, that's what I normally do.
Did you have to do any rehab in terms of injury prevention, anything like that? Because obviously constant freestyle takes a lot of toll on the old shoulders.
Yeah, definitely. It was mainly a bit of physio before, keeping up with pre-pool, that kind of thing. But it's overuse. So now afterwards, being physio and that kind of thing, and it's all just overuse really. And now just basically getting back in the pool and releasing off and just being nice and loose is the idea. So yeah, we didn't want to get injured was the main thing, but we've learned that for next time.
So let's talk about the swim then. Take us to the morning of the swim, because like you said, there's a lot of waiting around, not knowing which day that you're actually going to get the chance to go into the water. So that morning comes, you get the call that all is okay. What was it like arriving at the channel, looking out at the sea, knowing you're about to get in?
It was incredible. So as you said, you're not sure. We're there for a week. We're not sure when we're going to swim. You get the call 7:30 night before, right, we're going in tomorrow morning. We went to bed I aimed to go to bed at 8. Of course that didn't happen. Fell asleep at 10 o'clock. And then woke up at 1 o'clock in the morning. Swim started at 3 o'clock in the morning. So because of the tides, it was early.
Right.
And the whole feeling of it not actually being real yet, like you're like, no way it's happening today. Like this is the day that we've, like at least for the last 9 months, is all I've thought about.
Sure.
So it was waking up. My mum stayed up that whole night, so she was just downstairs. The whole crew, all 7 of us that were on the boat on the day, were all there in their house, and we come down, all in our gear, and we're all ready to go. And it was so weird, like we're going towards Dover Harbour, and then we get on the boat, and it's still not like, oh my goodness, I'm about to swim about 10 hours. Like, it still didn't fully, you don't realise. And then all of a sudden you get the call and you're like, right, you need to start getting changed now. Like we're about to, because you go round from Dover Harbour to the cliffs, to Shakespeare Beach where you go off, or Samphire Head, I can't remember. But they then basically are like, right, you need to start getting ready, we're going in. That's the weird feeling, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, it's cold. You're taking off all your stuff, you're putting on your Vaseline, your sun cream, goggles, hats, lights. And you're like, okay, here we go. And you get on the dinghy and they take you over to the cliffs. And then you go into the beach, you clear the water. That first feeling of getting in the water really wakes you up. You're like, oh my goodness, like this is it. This is the day. It's completely dark. And then finally you hear the whistle go and then in you get. And it's that bit and you're like that first 2 hours went in a blur.
I was going to say, to start with, do you need to keep a lid on your pacing? Like, I can imagine the adrenaline really takes over and you...
Yeah, hugely. You don't feel the cold. So the cold was my biggest concern before it. So I ended up I had to put on weight for it, a lot of weight, because I was cold. The season is June to August. I was in June, which was really early, mainly to be before my 18th birthday. But that meant it was cold. So I had to put on a lot of weight. So that adrenaline at the start didn't feel the cold. But it was also, as you say, pacing. You were like, right, I need to... We said before, don't get out too quick, and I'd be told if I'd get out too quick. But I think we went out at a really good speed. But it was just that first 2 hours went by like that. You're like, your first feed was an hour. And I remember I fed on an hour and then every half an hour after that. And I remember them going, right, pulling me over for a feed. And I was like, no way that's been an hour. Like, it feels like it's been about 10 minutes. And I was like, this is the rest of the swim, I'm happy. But of course it didn't stay like that.
Right, so many questions. I don't know where to begin. So what was the water temperature? Do you know what that was?
Water temperature outside Dover was 15.1. In the middle, like 14.6. And then France was 17. So...
Oh, lovely.
Okay.
Yeah, France was nice and warm.
Yeah. What other things did you have to experience? I think you had a bit of jellyfish to deal with as well.
Jellyfish on the day were fine. Training jellyfish-wise, problem. I did a swim in September, got horribly stung. That was less fun. I was kind of ready for it. In the channel, loads of jellyfish, but didn't get stung at all, which was incredible, and wasn't stinging, which was like they weren't stinging jellyfish, if that makes sense. So it was absolutely fine.
I didn't know there were two different types of jellyfish.
Yeah, there's loads of jellyfish, loads of different types. And these are the UK ones that are really nothing to worry about. They're massive, but not stinging, which is quite nice. It's the little blue ones you've got to be really careful of. They hurt.
Okay.
So you mentioned that you fueled every half hour.
Yeah.
So what are you fueling with? Because I think the rules are you can't stop and touch the boat. You have to keep paddling.
Going. Yeah. So 10 seconds, we tried to aim for a feed, up to 30 seconds, depending. The feeds were maltodextrin, which is like a long carb, powdery thing, basically is the best way of describing it. And we did it in hot feeds. So I either did it with warm Ribena, which the crew made, or hot sweet tea were the two things. So you have that every half an hour, and then you also do solid feeds, which is basically jelly babies, bananas, Swiss chocolate rolls, just any things like that, really, to just give you a bit of sweetness and a bit of carbs.
Is that difficult to try and get down while you're still treading water / swimming?
Yeah, it is, especially when as soon as you stop, you start moving backwards. So you're holding onto the line, the cup is there, and then you're just moving, and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna end up back in England in a second.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, it's quite annoying.
Oh, wow.
So that's why we try and do quick feeds.
I'm presuming the actual fueling strategy starts like days before.
Yeah. So we knew we were fueling like that, and we knew, I think from September we came up with what I was feeding and all of that. So we knew, and in all our training swims, qualifying swims, we were practicing on it, because as everyone knows, you never do something new, especially with like long events like Ironmans, big open water swims. You never do something new on the day. It's just not. So we know exactly what's happening. We also do like ibuprofen and paracetamol during the swim to just keep any pain off, because you don't want to be, you want to be feel as chill as possible.
So if you're feeding every half hour or so, what about drink? Is that the same?
Yeah. So the maltodextrin is we don't have water, it's just the maltodextrin is your drink. That is what you're drinking the whole time. So that's every half an hour.
That's tough.
Yeah. And by the end of it, you're so done with sweet stuff. You're like, oh my goodness, I've literally had sweets and everything's sugary for 9 hours. Like, I'm so done with this now.
Yeah.
Man. So throughout the swim then, were there any unexpected moments? Like, as much as you can prepare for a channel swim, or maybe you're going to tell me it went completely smooth sailing, but were there any moments where you thought, oh, you know what, this is really hard right now?
Yeah, definitely. So I told my crew originally, I get quite annoyed during swims. I get frustrated. If I get angry or shout at you guys, it's not personal, which the crew knew. So 7.5 hours in was the big one, where I realised, I was like, right, and the point of it is from 3 hours to 7 hours, France doesn't get any closer. It looks the same. So it's mentally so horrible. And because you don't know where you're coming in France either, you don't know when the swim's going to end. And I told my crew, I don't want to know any distances. I don't want to know how far I've been in for. I don't want to know how far I've got. Because they don't know either is the problem. So we're all sat there, and 7.5 hours in, you could see I was properly frustrated. My shoulder at this point, my right rotator cuff was awful. Like, I was in so much pain. You could see every single stroke was in agony. And I just remember getting so angry at my crew. Every half an hour, it was just me shouting at them. It was literally me smacking the water, occasionally splashing them, feeling really bad about that. And just screaming, oh, how much longer? I might as well turn around. I don't want to do this anymore. I was like, France isn't any closer. I might as well turn around. Like, I was really, like, mentally, it was horrible. And you just want to shout and scream at someone. You're like, this is so annoying. And the point is, we started to get really close, and you're like 8 hours in, and they're like, right, you need to push now. Like, this is where it matters. And I didn't know when I was going to come in. So I was like, I could have another 5 hours. I could have another 2 hours. I just don't know. So it makes it so difficult.
So what was the strategy then to almost calm you down, but just to make you carry on? Like, I saw actually live on, I think it was Neil's story, like, music was getting blasted at you.
Music was a big one, which was nice. A lot of motivational things in the crew. So swim to your next feed is a big one. Don't think about the whole thing, just swim to the next feed, which was the constant thing you're going around your head. Just keep it going. And eventually,
I mean, that's hard as well when you're fed up of the sweet stuff.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, I don't actually want the feed anymore, and you're like, I'm screaming, I want more drugs, and it's complete. Like, you're there, like, I just want this to please. Like, you're literally praying, I want this to end now. You're so, you're so finished now at that point, because your body's been working for 7 to 8 hours. Like, you're so tired, especially with 3 hours sleep. Like, the whole crew shattered, your shattered, and the crew is so good with it. Like, I'd be shouting at them, and you could tell under their voice they're probably calling me horrible names, but they were taking it. It was lovely.
People that run the marathon, they say they hit the wall after so many hours or whatever. Is that the same sort of thing, even though you're swimming for so much longer?
That was the wall. That was the point where I was like, oh my goodness. And if I didn't get there when we did in the time, I think it would have been I was so happy that it was about to finish. I was so happy.
Okay. This week's episode of the Propulsion Swimming Podcast is brought to you in partnership with One Flow Aquatics out in Summer Bay on the Red Sea in Egypt. And if you haven't seen already, if you haven't looked on our Instagram stories, the Manchester Performance Centre have just got back from a 2-week training camp out there. They enjoyed sun, they enjoyed the new Cactus Hotel, the 50-metre pool, the 25-metre pool that's on offer, the new indoor gym, as well as an outdoor gym, even though it was like 38 degrees. Maybe the indoor gym is actually quite good in that sort of heat. Aircon.
Definitely.
Brilliant. And then they got to see all of the sites of golf, paddle. I know there was a lot of paddle that went on. There was the beach club as well. Dan, we love going out there so much, and it's so good to see some Brits going out there as well.
Yeah, I think it's probably, obviously they go out there to train. Obviously, that's the main thing. But it's not just about that. It is about having a good time as well. I saw some stories from some of the swimmers out there that they went to the White Beach. They went go-karting as well. So, there's times where you have to take your mind off the training just to relax a bit. And they seem to have a really good time. I mean, our favourite place is the White Beach. And I think a lot of swimmers seem to enjoy that just because it's so peaceful. And we probably should talk about the food. It's been a while since I talked about the food.
Well, I was going to say, I'm going to sidetrack you here and not talk about the food.
Okay, fine.
Many training camps that me and you have been on, we've been to big cities. Like, we've been in a city environment. And then the ones that weren't in a city, so I've done Dublin, I've done Malaga, I have done Lignano in Venice, which is one of those ones which was out the way and there wasn't much going on. We were just in a sports complex. Now, the difference when you go to Egypt is you're just in the sports complex, but you're by the sea, you're by the beaches. It's like a purpose-built leisure. It's a peninsula. It's like a whole peninsula purpose-built for elite sport. There's not just swimming camps going on there. There's football, there's athletics, there's a new tennis academy as well that's just built out. And I think we've had experiences of so many different environments for a training camp, and often it is away from the pool that makes the difference. And
that's where the memories are from.
Exactly. And the relaxation and the whole experience around what is a fantastic facility to train at is why we're sat here promoting Summer Bay.
Yes, exactly. And again, it's not just for these elite clubs. At the moment, the elite clubs are out there or have been out there, like Manchester, for example. But they do want swimming clubs to go out there as well to experience what these elite guys are experiencing.
And they have different options for clubs coming so that you can cut down your budgets and reduce the cost going out there with sharing rooms. I think it goes all the way up to you can get 4 swimmers in a room to cut down on those costs as well. So if you're interested in booking your trip out to Summer Bay with One Flow Aquatics, you can do so by following the link in the description of this podcast, which will take you over to Sports Abroad, which is the leading sports booking agent here in the UK. And Steve and the team over there will take care of all of your questions. So when did you know that it was going to finish?
So basically, we were coming in, and the cap, you want to basically hit the cap. If you miss the cap, you then got another 2 miles of swimming, which could be another couple of hours, depending on the currents, because the currents in France are horrendous. So I knew there was one point where I shouted at my brother and my dad, and I was like, right, how much longer have we got? And they just looked at each other and didn't know. And I was like, how much longer? Smack in the water. And I remember Neil going, right, 6 minutes to your feed. And then at that next feed, they told me, they're like, if you push the next half an hour, this swim can be over. And I was like, right, that was the best motivation ever. So we fed the last time, and then we came up to that half an hour mark, and they were like, right, you can keep on going or you can feed again. And we were about to hit it, and they were like, right, okay, fine. I didn't feed that last time. I was like, right, we know we're going to hit it really soon. The whole boat's screaming. They're like, go, push, push, push. I'm digging so hard. They're shouting, dig deeper. I'm like, I've been digging for the last 8 hours. And we are so close. Like, we're like, okay, we know. And then France started to get really close, and you're like, right, this is so nearly over. And the sad bit is you've got the cap there, and then you're swimming along, and they're not telling you to swim towards it. They're telling you to swim straight because the current's going to take you onto it. So if you turn too early, you're then going to miss it. And that's what you do not want to happen. That's what most people do. You miss it and then have to come back. So we were coming in, and then when you see one of the pilots bring out the tender, you know you're about to finish, and it was the greatest thing ever. You see him pull it out, and it comes out in front of you, and you're like, oh my God, this is about to end. Like, thank goodness this is about to end. And you come in, and then I just remember him going, right, 20 meters, you have to get on top of the rock. And I was like, right, okay. Push for that last 20 meters, and you're barely moving. The current's so strong, everything hurts. And you just start thinking in your head, you're like, oh my God, this is about to end. Do I actually want it to end? And then you're like, no, I definitely want this to end. And you're like, finally, you touch the rock. And I just remember I sort of sealed or walrused myself onto the rock, which was horrendous. Cut my chest, of course, because the rocks were really sharp. So walrused myself onto it, stood up, right leg cramped, because you haven't used them for 9 hours. Like, they are completely gone. Stood up on the rock, right leg cramped, arms in the air. And it was just emotion from then. It was tears. It was sat on the rock. It was, oh my goodness, I've done it. There's people in France cheering. There's my whole boat cheering. They're blowing the horn on the thing. It was the coolest feeling and the greatest feeling ever.
What's the thing that's going through your mind then? Is it like almost you're ready to your thanks for the crew, or is it just thinking I'm in so much pain I just want to sit down, I just want to eat a roast? What's
it was oh my goodness, I can't wait to see my crew, and just the feeling of achievement. Like, I've wanted to do this my whole life. I've been so lucky to be able to achieve my dream at 17 years old, which most people don't get to do. Like, that was a lifelong dream. I've done it at 17. Like, it was so cool. And the suffering, like, you go to dark places during something like that. Like, that is,
I bet you do.
You really, really mentally struggle. And then to know it's finished and you're like, oh my goodness. And then you get on the little dinghy, tells you to jump back in on the dinghy, because you have to go straight back across the
You have to get back in after that.
Yeah, straight back in. And onto the dinghy and then onto the main boat. And then I just pulled myself together. I was like, oh, finally. And then I saw the crew, and then tears start again. The crew starts crying. We're all lying there. And I'm like, oh my goodness. They're trying to get me warm as soon as possible, because you're so adrenaline built, you don't feel anything. I'm like when I cut my chest, I went and hugged my brother, and he was sadly in a white shirt. And I remember looking at him, and I was like, oh my goodness, you've cut yourself. He was like, no, you've cut yourself. And I've got blood coming off of me. And I was like, oh, I didn't realise. Because you don't feel anything. And then you just sat there in realisation. And then this moment was incredible. And then I'm eating some jelly babies, or wherever it is, believe it or not. And I remember the observer and my coach and Neil come up to me, and they're like, oh, how long do you reckon that was? And in my head, I thought it was about 10 and a half hours, 11 hours. And I went, oh, 10 and a half? No, 9 hours 42, and showed me the two stopwatches. I got a really cool photo of me holding them. And that was, again, re-feeling all the feelings I just felt, because that was a ridiculously quick time. And I was like,
I was going to say, what is a quick time for your age? Because listeners to this probably won't know like times in terms of channel swimming. So what sort of pace have you gone to do that?
So average channel time's 14, 15 hours. My average time was 124 per 100. For the whole thing.
That's good.
Yeah, it was quite quick, but obviously that's with currents and stuff. So you don't know when you're getting pushed forwards and you're getting pushed back. At the moment, we can't find anyone under 18 that's gone quicker. But there's not much pace to see that kind of result, so it's quite hard to know. But I think it was 3 people in the last decade at CSA have gone under 10 hours. So it's a really it was a really cool achievement. And for some reason, if I went 10:01, I'd be as happy. But just breaking 10 hours is like just really cool, and it's really respected. When people go 12 hours in the channel, they know they're quick. When people in the channel world, when people go sub 10 hours, it's like, that's a very quick person, which is really cool.
So as your 12 or 13-year-old dreaming of swimming in the channel, it was just to complete it, no time-wise?
Oh, no, none.
Nothing like that at all? It was just to complete it?
No, it was completely, before I knew, I didn't want to get obsessed with times. I was like, if I complete it, I'm going to be so happy. That's all I wanted. So completing it was the greatest feeling. That's what I wanted. And then to get the time was like an extra, just the icing on the cake, which was so lovely.
There was another icing on the cake, though, in the fact that you raised a humongous amount of money for charity, like a massive amount of money. Can you tell us more about the charity and like why their work focusing on men's mental health is so important to you? So
that pushed me through for a lot of the swim, thinking about that. We've raised £12,000 nearly for men's mental health. ManUp is the charity. They are an incredibly small charity, but incredible as well. They basically fund research and also fund like a therapist for people that are struggling mentally, specifically men, which it means a lot to me. You see a lot of people suffer at my age. And there's this whole thing, we'll just talk about it, but maybe talking doesn't work for everyone. And that's what I love, which sort of ManUp are questioning. They're going in and going, right, maybe for one person that doesn't work. And that's why for me, it was so perfect swimming, because for me, sport does that for me. If you can get in the water or do anything, it doesn't have to swim the channel. Go for a walk every day. That will massively help you. So for me, I just wanted people to think about that and maybe go, right, let me try something else. Or for some people, it might be going for, a coffee or whatever. You don't always need to talk about it. It just could be, going for a walk with someone, going on a dog walk. It could be anything. But that's what I love. Like, they're questioning that. And it was really cool raising that amount of money, because I got a call from their founder. There's only 2 people that work for it, the founder and his wife. Wow. And they are incredible. They're so small. And they do so much, which I love. I know where the money goes, which is lovely. With big charities nowadays, you just don't know. And it's so nice to see. So he told me where the money, he gave me something tangible. And he said, you've funded the therapist at ManUp for the next 6 years, which is the coolest feeling in the world, knowing that we've now helped people for the next 6 years. And that just makes you think, wow, it's all worth it. Like, everything you dreamed of, you're like, right, that means, you know, people I've seen struggle at my age or even older, at least they now can reach out for help and someone will be there, which makes me really happy.
So obviously you've made a massive impact for the charity ManUp, but how has the channel swim impacted you personally, both physically and mentally, since completing it?
And we're still close to it as well, so you might not know this for a few years.
Yeah, true.
Right now, how has it impacted you?
Weirdly, I think this year has been my hardest year mentally. Like, you think, oh, this year is, you know, you swim the channel, it will be great, but it's been the hardest year for me. Like, ironically, it's been so difficult. Like, I've had some really low moments this year, and it's been hard to get through. The channel's got me through it, and during it was like the relief of it all. Like, it was I had points where after the Dubai swim, I was like, I don't want to get in the water. Like, I'd have long chats with Neil. I'm like, I do not want to get in. Like, it was like my worst case scenario. I'd have dreams of always swimming. It's really like weird. It would be like I'm on a treadmill and not getting out. I'd finish, like I'd wake up and I'd be like, my body hurts like I've been training for the last 4 hours. Like it was really weird. But for me, the channel really helped with that. And it was quite nice to feel that, because I wanted at the day as well, when we actually swam, to feel that suffering and be that, like, if I can do this, you know, people will see that and go, right, maybe I can do this, I can get through this. So it was, I think, and as time will go on, I'll learn more and more from it.
Sure. I was going to ask you got any like strategies in place? Obviously, you say after the Dubai swim you struggled. Have you got anything in place after the English Channel swim to kind of make sure either you've set yourself a new goal, or it's kind of reintegrating back into pool swimming, or new open water targets?
Giving advice for others, potentially?
Yeah, I think for me, it will be setting another goal. I want to wait. So I was waiting a month because I just want to give it a bit of time to settle in. It's so easy for me because I'll be someone that always wants to do the next thing. And I don't want to be where I'm just always doing the next thing and I'm always thinking about the next thing, because that's not healthy. Like, it's nice at the moment to wake up and not be thinking about the channel and not be like worrying about it. So it's quite nice to just be clear-minded at the moment. I think eventually I'll need another swim because I'll just want something to latch onto, because you get the blues, you get quite low after it because you get to the point where you're like, I've had this whole purpose and now it's gone. So I think it will be difficult, but for me, I'm a big talker. So if I can speak to someone like Neil, that really helps. For me, training, getting back in the pool has been incredible. So I haven't done many sessions. I got back last week. So the first time I went in was like 5 days after the swim, did a half an hour, and then we did an hour tonight, or half an hour another week. But and that really helps me, because swimming for me gives me that time to think. Without swimming, I think I'd go mad. So that time when I swim is my time to go through everything in my head. And when I swim, it just clears it all, which is so lovely. So I need that. So my advice for everyone is, you know, doing sport massively helps. That was my way. It helps me so much.
I was going to say that's the benefit, that you're still within that school environment, that club environment, that actually a lot of channel swimmers are past the club environment when they're taking on the channel swim as a challenge. So the fact that you can reintegrate and you can have this team around you that can, even if it is just plodding along for 6 months to figure out what's next, you've still got a big network around you that can support you and keep you up.
Yeah, which has been lovely. Like, the support of the channel committee and like community has been incredible. Like, they are the nicest people. Sea swimmers in general, the nicest people in the world. Yeah. But it has been one of those things where it's like, it's so nice that I've got a club. If I was training by myself in the leisure centre every day, and I don't think I'd be able to get back in. I think I'd sit there, and if I didn't have, you know, all my mates getting in and me being at school where it's all based around swimming really, and I don't have like that time in the evening, you're like, oh, what am I doing? Because then I'm like, oh, I'll go for a swim. I might as well. I get to see people. I get to chat to people. So it's been so incredible to have that, as you said.
I just want to ask 2 questions. I'll ask you the harder one first and then a really easy one after that. What's the one thing that you've learned about yourself in this entire journey for the last 9 months?
I've realised you can't underestimate things. I think as a swimmer, and being a good swimmer, you can be quite cocky, especially when you do open water stuff. You're like, oh, I'm good at that. And originally, if I didn't have the help and learned a lot during the year, I massively underestimated the channel till about February or March, or even April, actually. I was there going, oh yeah, I'll be absolutely fine. Like, I thought the whole time, because obviously you want to have positive mindset, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to be able to do it. But I thought it was going to be absolutely easy. And I was like, oh, I can do that. I can swim every day. Like, of course I can do that. Like, if there's people who are 50 doing it, I can do that. Like, that's not hard. And then I realized from a camp that I did where there were people double my age and I couldn't stay in for more than 6 hours because it was too cold. But they could stay in for 6 hours and plod around and they were absolutely fine. But I was going double the pace of theirs. I was going way quicker. I was like, how is that possible? And that really frustrated me. And that's when I was like, okay, I've learned so much from that. Like that, I was like, right, I can't underestimate it. I know this is really hard. It's all mental. So then I learned, right, I need to put on the weight. I need to learn that it's a mental game. So I've really learned to not underestimate things and really just respect everyone and be like, right, okay, I know what they're saying. And even though if they haven't done it yet or they have, everyone's trying to give you advice and you just got to take what you can and learn from it because they know so much more than you do. Even if you're a quick swimmer, it doesn't mean you're going to be good at the channel.
And any other questions? Really simple, really. What was your first meal after finishing the swim?
Proper meal was a fish and chips in a pub in Dover.
Yes, nice.
Was really fun. And we got to sign the roof of the pub as well, which was
very good.
Really cool. So there's a pub in the Rising Sun in Kingsdown. So if you go there, you see my name on the roof.
That's amazing.
Now, Barnaby, it's been great chatting to you, and we do usually finish with some quick-fire questions for our guests. Okay. So we'll run through them. So who is your swimming idol?
That's a good question. Do you know, it's going to be Hector Pardo. He's an absolute legend. Very motivational guy. He's really nice. Love it.
You been for a swim with him yet?
Haven't been for a swim. Stayed in touch with him. He's really nice. He's given me so much advice. He's just a really nice bloke.
He's great.
This next one's going to be quite easy. What's your proudest moment in swimming so far?
Swimming the English Channel. Easy.
What's the hardest set that you've ever done? And we'll make it channel related. So in your preparation to your swim, what was the hardest set that you did?
Hardest set? When we do... The thing is, I enjoyed it, but it will sound good. Basically, we did 5 2s. And when I say that, people think 5 200s. It's 5 2Ks, which I love saying because people are always like, oh, yeah. So 5 2Ks off of half an hour. So it's 1:30 pace. So you get a good 2.5-minute rest. So that's a really fun set. And you can do some descending within it as well. So that's a good set we love.
Was this one of Neil's?
Yeah, that is. Well, we've sort of mixed to it, but yeah, it is
fun. And to get to know you a bit away from a swimming pool or channel, if you were to go on a road trip, there's 3 spaces in the car. You can take friends, family, celebrities, anyone you want with you. Who would go?
Oh, that's such a good question. Anyone.
Anyone. Dead or alive makes it harder.
Dead or alive. Okay. All right. Purely for the vibes, Lando Norris because he's funny. I like him. I love F1.
Fast drive.
I think he's got to be in there.
He's driving, right? Surely.
Yeah, he's got to be driving, and I'll probably on the music next to him.
Yeah.
Who else will I have in there? Oh, it's so difficult. My mind's gone completely blank. I'd have Hector in there because I think he's vibes as well, and I'd have Schooner Scorer because I think he'd bring some vibes as well. So that would be the people.
Nice.
Well, congratulations. Thank you so much for coming on to this week's episode, and best of luck with the next challenge, whatever it is, whenever it is. And we will link in the show notes of this podcast the fundraising link, which I think is still live.
It is
for ManUp charity. So if anyone is listening and wants to donate, that is there for everyone to go ahead and follow. And Barnaby, looking forward to seeing you hopefully on the poolside soon.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, keep us in the loop with the next challenge. Obviously, have some time off first, but keep us in the loop.
Will do.
You've been listening to the Propulsion Swimming Podcast with Scott and Dan. We want to thank you for joining us and invite you to subscribe to the show, as well as checking out the Propulsion Swimming YouTube channel for weekly tutorials and videos to get your swimming fix. We will be back next week. Until then, we'll catch you on the next one.